presenting this week from Fantasyland, a tribute to Joel Chandler Harris. Now, here is your host, Walt Disney.
One of the most entertaining chapters in American folklore was supplied us by the wonderful Uncle Remus stories of Joel Chandler Harris. For 4 generations, these magical tales of Brer Rabbit and his talking animal friends have delighted the hearts of children of all ages and in all parts of the world. This battered little book, Uncle Remus, His Songs and Sayings, published in 1881, met with instant success and gave the people outside the South their first knowledge of these beloved animal legends told on the plantations by the old Negro storytellers who had been handing them down from generation to generation. Later in the program, we're going to visit Uncle Remus and listen to one of his stories. But first, let's make ourselves acquainted with the truly gentle and modest man who gave us the beloved Uncle Remus stories, Joel Chandler Harris.
My beginning years were spent in Eatonton, a small town in middle Georgia, a quiet place of many memories. My father had disappeared during the gold rush to California, leaving my mother to carry on alone. Luckily, our home was provided to us rent-free by warm-hearted and generous neighbors. Mother and I lived there on a combination of human kindness and the slender income she derived from her sewing. She was an exceptional woman and devoted her life to me. Everything I learned in those days was the result of her training and example.
That you, Joel? Yes. Joel, Miss Tyrell gave me 2 more dresses she once let out. She said to open the seams and she'd come in tomorrow for a fitting. Good. And look, she loaned us David Copperfield. That's nice. Oh, yes, I got paid for those dresses I delivered today. Here.
Joel Harris, you take that frog out of the house this instant. Or he might give you warts.
Oh, Ma, that's just an old superstition. See? You've hurt Brer Bullfrog's feelings.
Joel Harris?
All right. Oh, I really did get paid today. 25, 50, 60, 70 cents. That doesn't seem like very much for letting out one dress and making a whole new petticoat.
Oh, it all counts up, son. Just like raindrops filling a barrel.
I sure wish I could get a job.
Your job is to get an education. Then when it's time for you to go out in the world, you'll be prepared for a fine position.
But you're always working all the time, and I don't do anything. I'm the man of the family. It just isn't right.
You'll grow up soon enough, honey. Already you're doing all the outside chores. And you deliver and pick up dresses for me. Well, I couldn't get along without your help. Goodness, I must get our supper. And I haven't forgotten about that frog. Put him out, wash your hands, and set the table, Joel. We can read the book after supper.
Yes'm.
Right from the start, I was interested in words and stories. Tuesdays would find me in Pruden's grocery store and post office, where Mr. Pruden let me read the papers that came in once a week on the mail stage from Milledgeville.
Should read faster or eat slower, Joel.
Yes, Mr. Pruden.
Said you read about Lincoln ordering the Union armies to advance on all fronts?
Oh, they'll never get this far. We'll lick them just like we did at Manassas in the Battle of Bull Run.
We will, huh?
Mr. Prudence?
Oh, this is the first edition of Mr. Turner's paper, The Countryman. His man brought him in this morning from Turnwold. Yeah, this is the only newspaper in the world printed on a plantation.
Can I see one?
Well, guess there's no harm in you reading the Johnson's copy. They're in Savannah anyway.
Thank you. An active, intelligent boy, 14 or 15 years of age, is wanted at this office to learn the printing business. Gee.
Hey, where are you going with the Johnson's paper?
I'll bring it right back.
See that you do.
Mom, look at this. First copy of Mr. Turner's newspaper.
Well,
Listen. An active, intelligent boy, 14 or 15 years of age, is wanted at this office to learn the printing business.
well, you're active enough having those, Joel, and intelligent. But Mr. Turner wants a boy 14 or 15.
Well, I'm almost 14.
Almost. But Turner was out in the country. You'd have no way of getting back and forth. You'd have to stay there.
It's only 9 miles away. Please, Mom?
You really want to do this, Joel?
Yes. It's a newspaper, and that's what I want to be. A newspaper man. There. Listen, Mom. Dear Mr. Turner, I am answering your advertisement in the Countryman for a boy to learn the printing trade. I always read all the newspapers that I can get a hold of, and I think the Countryman is the best of all. I would like to work in your office very much. I will be 14 soon and must start earning money so my mother will not have to work so hard. My teacher says I am quick to learn and I would do my best to please you. Respectfully, Joel C. Harris.
I think it will do. But perhaps you could leave out the part about my having to work so hard, Joel. It's appealing to Mr. Turner's sympathy, and you want to obtain the position on your own merits.
All right. Now I'll copy it neat. Are you sure there isn't a letter there for me from Turnwold? I wrote Mr. Turner almost a week ago.
Well, maybe Mr. Turner answered his mail through his newspaper like the others do. Oh, say, here's the new issue of the Countryman. Maybe it's in there. What is it? What's the matter, son?
Oh, the ad for a boy is still there. Just like it was last week.
Well, that doesn't mean anything. Maybe Mr. Turner just forgot about it. Or he just didn't read your letter yet.
No. My mom was right. He just doesn't think I'm old enough.
Joel, Mr. Turner's here to see you.
Hello, Joel.
How do you do, sir?
Joel, did you compose this all by yourself?
Yes, sir. I wrote it out rough first, several times. Then I copied it.
So you'd like to be a printer, eh?
Yes, sir.
Of course, you know an apprentice receives no wages.
No wages?
Your mother understands this. At first, I can give you only board and room. After you learn your trade, well, then I start paying you a small salary.
That would be all right, sir.
Then it's settled. Now, how long before you could be ready to come to Turnwold?
Right away, sir. Couldn't I, Mom?
I'll be back and pick you up in an hour. I'll take good care of him, Miss Harris.
I'm sure you will.
Oh, he'll be in to visit you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. In and out.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
And so, after promising my mother that I would come back to see her whenever I could, I was on my way to Turnwold and the adventure that lay ahead, which would prove to be the turning point in my life. In memory, I can still see my first view of Turnwold. Surrounding the main house, thick forests of cedar and sycamore flanked the rich, rolling farmlands. The atmosphere of the plantation was one of industrious contentment and happiness. All who lived there were treated well. The printing plant for Mr. Turner's newspaper was situated not far from the main house, in a beautiful rustic setting. I remember my first day in the shop. I was so excited I had not slept the night before, and I was at work early before the arrival of Mr. Wilson, the printer. While waiting for him, I explored as a boy will. I found it difficult to keep my hands off the equipment in this strange and wonderful place that I was to come to know so well.
Let the rain pour down, let the cold wind blow. Gonna stay right here in the home I know. Trouble, fly away. Trouble with the weavers, never did my task.
I had met Mr. Wilson the night before. He was a highly capable itinerant printer, and a great deal more Irish than his name.
Well, good morning, lad. You're bright and early, I see.
Yes, sir.
Well, that's fine, fine. All ready to get started, eh?
Yes, sir.
But, what's this, lad? What's this?
What's what, sir?
Well, the stove. Where's the fire? There should be in it.
Fire?
Aye, the fire. That's part of your job, you know. You must get a fire going on this infernal stove of mornings to keep the chill out. Well, come on. Get at it. Let's get at it. You're a printer's devil now, me boy.
Devil?
That's what all apprentices are called. And you'll do all the chores and all the dirty work about the place.
But...
But what? Come on, speak up, lad. Don't be one-legged in the mouth.
Well, I thought I was here to learn to be a printer.
That you are, lad. That you are. On me soul, don't look so mournful. We'll have you set and type in no time. Here, take your coat off.
Yes, sir.
Just throw it there any place. Now, put this on. First, you're to learn to wash the type after it's used. And printer's ink is pretty messy stuff, you see.
It's a little big, isn't it?
Well, I must admit I was expecting someone a wee bit larger. But no matter. You can't have too much apron in this business.
After learning my other chores, it wasn't too long before Mr. Wilson allowed me to set a line of type by myself.
Here. How's this, Mr. Wilson?
All right, lad. I'll pull a proof for you. Looks like you need quite a bit more practice, lad.
My room was upstairs in one wing of the house. During the day, I was kept busy enough in the printing plant. But at night, there was nothing to do. Homesickness and longing for my mother and friends in Eatonton overwhelmed me.
That's how the leopard got his butt.
More, tell us more. The camel crossed the desert sand with all them mighty caravans. His bed was full of sandy lumps.
That's how the camel got those humps. That's what Uncle Remus said. That's what Uncle Remus said. And his bed was full of lumps.
That's how the camel got those humps.
More, tell us more.
The pig he saw his monkey friend a-swinging by his other end. He tried the same thing on the rail. That's how the pig got a curly tail.
That's what Uncle Remus said. That's what Uncle Remus said. Tried the same thing on a rail. That's how the pig got a curly tail. More, tell us.
On my way back to the house, I passed Herbert's cabin.
Hello, Herbert.
Hi, Master Joe. Come on in.
Herbert was Mr. Turner's personal servant and enjoyed the reputation of being a gifted storyteller.
Where you been?
Oh, I've been over in the grove listening to the singing. And Herbert, there was an owl up in a tree over there. And he winked at me. So I winked back. And you know, Herbert, that old owl just sat there and winked right back at me. Herbert, why is it all the other birds seem to hate the owl?
Ain't you never heard the story about the owl and the other birds, Master Joe?
No, Herbert. What story is that?
Well, Uncle Remus told this to me many years ago. And since that time, I done heard tell about it more times than I got fingers and toes. It went sort of like this. Way back yonder, all the birds was in cahoots. They all lived in one settlement. And whatsoever they might pick up doing today, they'd fetch it to the place whereabouts they lived at. It wasn't long before they'd gathered up a right smart pile of first one thing and then another, and began to get scared that someone had come along and helped themselves while they's away. So they pinted Brother Owl for to keep watch. Brother Owl, he sit up there right pert. But before he know what he doing, he can't keep his eyes open. By and by, he slapped his head under his wing, and when a bird gets his head under his wing, it's just the same as going to bed and pulling the kiv up around your ears. Well, sir, the birds come back and found him fast asleep. And that ain't all. They discovered that someone had slipped in and stole all their victuals. That settled the hash for Mr. Owl. They brought him up to trial, and they laid down the law that he got to sleep with both eyes wide open, and he got to keep watch all night long. And whensomever he hear any fuss, he got to holler out, "Ooh, ooh, who that pestin' we all?"
St. Patrick's Day no more we'll keep. His colors can't be seen. For they're hanging men and women for. All right, take it away, lad. The wearing of the green. Now, you pull in the handle and we'll have the proof for next week's Countryman. Harder, lad. Harder, lad, harder.
I can't do it.
Oh, 'tis a thousand pities. You haven't the strength for the job. Why, you're no bigger than a pound of soap after a hard day's washing. We've over 1,000 circulation now, and more subscriptions coming in all the time. And each copy of the Countryman must be printed like this. And it's sure you can never be a printer until you can work the press. You're too little, Joel, and too young. I've got to get somebody else. I need the help, lad. You understand? Here, take this up to the house for Mr. Turner's inspection. Careful how you handle it now. It'll be dry by the time you get there.
Yes, sir.
Master Joel to see you, sir.
Hello, Joel. Come in.
Yes, sir.
Joel.
Yes, sir? Oh, Mr. Wilson sent you the proof for the next paper.
Thank you, Joel. Joel, you seem to be interested in my library.
Oh, yes, sir. I've never seen so many books before.
Well, I have nearly all the classics here, as well as our contemporary writers, as James Fenimore Cooper, Hugo, Scott, Dickens, Thackeray, and all the poets, including the American ones. You can borrow anything you want to.
Could I really?
Well, certainly.
Thank you, sir.
Here's Gibbon's Roman Empire. No, I'm afraid that's a little advanced for you, Joe.
I've read that, sir.
You have?
Yes, sir. Mr. Turner, please, I'd like to borrow some of Shakespeare's plays. I've never had a chance to read any of those before.
Shakespeare? Why, certainly, Joel. You take them any time you want. Just treat them as you would your friends.
Thank you, sir.
Joel, here are 2 books from which you may select fillers for the Countryman.
You mean I'm to select the fillers?
We'll try it. See how well you do.
Oh, thank you, sir.
And Joel, let me give you the 3 cardinal rules for good writing. First, select a worthy subject. Second, stick to your subject. Third, say what you have to say in as few words as possible.
Yes, sir. I'll remember that. Thank you, sir.
Being given the job of choosing material that would actually appear in the Countryman made me forget my first failure in the printing plant. Jubilant, I wandered into the woods, as I did many an afternoon during the days that followed, discovering the world of animals and birds and the wonder of their ways. I met Mr. Raven and watched with delight the family of Mr. and Mrs. Fox at play. I spied on Brer Fox himself, from a respectful distance, of course. Wherever you find Brer Fox, somewhere close by is sure to be his tantalizing, hoped-for victim, Brer Rabbit. As usual, Brer Rabbit outfoxed Brer Fox and got clean away. That night, filled with ambition for my new assignment, I stayed up copying fillers from the 2 wonderful books supplied to me by Mr. Turner. As a result, I overslept next morning and was late to work.
Well, would you look who's here? So bright and early in the day, we must get the paper out. If it isn't the countryman's devil himself.
I'm sorry, Mr. Wilson. I just didn't wake up. I guess I was up too late reading those books that Mr. Turner gave me and copying fillers.
Reading, is it? If you're not looking out the window or daydreaming, you got your nose in the book. And you can't work the press. There's little help you are to me, Joel Harris.
Is he going to take my place?
Thanks is strong, and he'll work the press for me. Now get busy folding and addressing those letters.
What about the fillers?
Never mind the fillers. We've got war news for our subscribers. Some Yankee spies raided into Georgia and stole a locomotive at Big Shanty.
Yankee spies in Georgia?
Led by a man named Andrews. Ah, there indeed it was, lad.
Did they catch them?
Aye, that they did. A brave young conductor chased him in another locomotive and prevented their blowing up the bridges.
Good for him.
Oh, it was a great locomotive chase. And as thrilling a victory as Bull Run. So hop to it now and get those papers out.
Yes, sir.
And I want no more of this dilly-dallying, you understand?
Yes, sir.
I had tried to write ever since I could remember, and produce such unpublished masterpieces as The Indian's Revenge and The Broken Heart. Now my dream was to see something in The Countryman with my name on it. I copied off one of my best essays, A Word to Boys. But when it came to signing my own name to it, my courage failed.
Come in. Yes, Joel, what have you there?
Oh, some contributions that came in the mail. There's one here that shows quite a bit of promise from somebody named Marlowe.
Marlowe?
Yes, sir. Right there. Sir.
Well, thank you, Joel. I'll certainly give it every consideration.
Thank you, sir. I mean...
As I went about my tasks at the print shop, I was excited and nervous, waiting to see what Mr. Turner would do about my essay. In those days, the outside contributors to newspapers were generally answered by a brief item in the next issue of the paper.
Joel?
Yes, sir.
Here are the decisions on that last group of mail contributions. A settlement type, will you?
Yes, sir.
And, Joel, you were right about that Marlowe essay is to be published. There's a note to the writer, here, on top.
Yes, sir.
Let's see that. Marlowe. The article over the signature of Marlowe was published because, being the production of a young man not high in his teens, it evinces promise of what he may do if he will. If he will do his best every time, I will continue to publish for him. But should he become careless in his composition, I will close the columns of this journal against him. In later life, he will thank me for being very rigid with his productions. Marlowe, indeed. Make up your mind, lad. What is it you're going to be? A writer or a printer? You came here to help me and to learn me trade, but it's divil a bit of help you've been. With your head in the clouds a dreaming or else moping around. And now you're writing when you should be working. At this rate, you'll never begin to earn any wages.
Then came a day that I was summoned by Mr. Turner to the main house. He had never sent for me in this manner before, and I anticipated the worst.
Master Joel to see you, sir.
Come in, Joel.
Yes, sir?
Well, Joel,
Mom! Joel! It sure is nice to see you. Boy, this is a surprise.
Joel, I wanted your mother here to share this moment with you. First, I wish to tell you that your last article is accepted for publication under your own name.
It is?
Well, there are a few slight changes I might suggest, but on the whole, it's a fine essay.
I've read it, lad. And it's as good or better than anything written by the immortal bard or Tom Moore himself. And I must confess, 'twas wrong I was. You're becoming a knave one printer, so you are.
And here's something which you have earned. A bonus due you of back pay. And from now on, you'll receive a regular wage.
Thank you, sir. Here, Mom. You take it.
As time went on, the Countryman became more and more successful, with a circulation of over 2,000, largely due to Mr. Turner's wise and spirited editorials. I was getting more of my own writings in print, and some of the other papers in the South were beginning to copy them. Fillers with my byline, The Countryman's Devil, and longer essays and pieces under my own name.
Mr. Wilson, which do you think sounds better? J.C. Harris or Joel Harris?
Well, as to that, me fine feathered friend, why not get it all in? Joel Chandler Harris. Of course, it'd mean we'd have to start running wider columns, but don't let a little thing like that bother you. Oh, here's some more of your stuff in the Mobile Sentinel. You haven't seen it yet.
Oh. Oh, it's my essay on Dryden. Dryden, I believe, has remarked upon the delicacy of visiting criticism upon living men.
Dryden, indeed. And where do you find words like that? A little undersized runt like you are, for the love of Pete.
Undersized, am I?
I said under. Here, cut that out now. Who? Hey, let go. I'll shoot you. I'll warn you, boy, and I'll tell you this. Watch some defenders of you. Come here. Now I got you. Now I got you.
Those were good times. But the war, which at first seemed very far from us, was suddenly closer, crashing into the headlines. After Sherman's army swept over Turnwold on its march to the sea, the plantation lay stripped clean. We tried to keep the paper going, but it was hopeless. And the day came when the Countryman's press stopped forever.
Master Joel, sir.
I'm sorry, Joel, it has to end like this.
Oh, I know, sir.
But for you, there are good years ahead. I hope I've helped you a little toward a successful career.
You have, sir. Without your help,
You're talented, Joel. Someday you'll be famous. Perhaps you'll be the one to do what I've always dreamed of. Develop a true literature of the South. You're writing to remember the advice I gave you.
Yes, sir. First, pick a worthy subject. Second, stick to that subject. Third, say what you have to say in as few words as possible.
Goodbye, Joel.
Goodbye, sir.
It's been good having you as a friend.
Mr. Turner, I want to tell you,
Go along, Joel. You have a long walk ahead of you. You better get started.
Yes, sir. Goodbye, Herbert.
Goodbye, Moss Joe.
Leaving Turnwold was the most difficult thing I ever had to do. There, I'd had a unique combination of advantages. The best books of the world to read, the woods and fields to roam, and the unusual opportunity of becoming a professional writer at the age of 14. For his encouragement, advice, and guidance during those 3 years, I owed Mr. Turner a debt I could never repay.
Joel Chandler Harris, as we all know, went on to a place in the hearts of the whole world. For searching out and preserving these wise and witty plantation legends based on the memories of his days at Turnwold, for creating Uncle Remus to tell them, he will be forever loved by the children of all ages and of all races everywhere. Now, from our motion picture Song of the South, let's listen while Uncle Remus himself tells what is probably the most famous of all of his fables, the Tar Baby story.
'Cause this Brer Rabbit, he is the outdoorest, the most bodacious critter in the whole world. Now, this here tale didn't happen just yesterday, nor the day before. 'Twas a long time ago. Of course, I didn't know it at the time, but Brer Rabbit was heading straight for trouble. 'Cause up on Chickapin Hill...
He's a pretty smart fella, the folks all say.
Yeah, knows a lot of tricks.
But he forgot.
Yes, sir. Just in a minute now. Won't be long now. And Brer Fox, he lay low.
Next week, our show will come to you from Adventureland, where we'll visit some faraway places and meet some very interesting people. Here are a few highlight scenes from that program.
Next week, Walt Disney takes you on a fabulous and fascinating tour of the world. Beginning with the island of Sardinia, there's a trip on a tiny toy-like train through the mountain villages for a glimpse of quaint and colorful customs still in practice today. The centuries-old Ardea, a festival featuring all the finer points of a fox chase and a Wild West show. An annual event where a wonderful time is had by all, and nobody quite knows why. On Sardinia's coast, you'll see the trapping of giant Mediterranean tuna in the time-tested tradition of the Sardinian fishing fleet. And then, on the burning sands of the Sahara Desert, you'll wander the wasteland with a strange tribe of desert nomads whose ancient way of life is the subject of a Walt Disney People and Places motion picture production, The Blue Men of Morocco. In the far reaches of the frozen north, you'll fly by helicopter with the daring Disney photographers as they film an epic of the icebreakers, Men Against the Arctic. You'll also see another ice-breaking technique by one of the regular residents of these northern seas. Then, far down the coast of Lower California to Tiburon Island, the arid, barren, and forbidding home of the Seri Indians, a truly primitive tribe living a life of isolation, hidden behind a veil of deep and darkest mystery. You'll see scenes never before filmed, revealing glimpses into a way of life so ancient that its very beginning is lost in the mists of time. Beyond the seas and behind the scenes, from the equator to the Arctic, with Walt Disney's people and places, next week in Adventureland. Next week, Disneyland will be brought to you by Swift's Premium Canned Meats. Meat makes the meal, and Swift makes such good canned meats. And the all-new, all-American Rambler, the Smart Switch for 56, sold and serviced at all Hudson dealers and Nash dealers of American Motors. When you see Walt Disney's newest full-length motion picture, The Great Locomotive Chase, you'll see one of the most remarkable spy stories ever told. It's a true story about the first brave men to win their country's highest award, the Congressional Medal of Honor. Starring Fess Parker as the mysterious spy, leader of a band of raiders who stole a train and raced through enemy lines with another roaring locomotive in full chase. Co-starring Jeff Hunter as Fuller the train man. Walt Disney's The Great Locomotive Chase, coming to your favorite theater, filmed in CinemaScope Technicolor, where it actually happened. This has been an ABC Television Network film presentation.